Welcome to the Simplify, Lead and Grow podcast, where business leaders share real strategies for growth. Hosted by Steve Kopecki, each episode offers insights to help you simplify, lead with purpose, and achieve success. Get ready for a wealth of knowledge and inspiration. The journey to simplify, lead, and grow starts now.
Hello, everyone. Steve Kopecki here with Compass Performance, Inc. and the Simplify, Lead and Grow podcast. Today we're going to do things a little bit differently. I don't have a guest for us to talk with, but certainly have plenty of videos of entrepreneurs that I have talked to, and their finished product is waiting to get posted, as well as a few that are actually in edit. But what today I'd like to talk a little bit more about is both what Compass is all about, and specifically a little bit more of a direction around the website that we have and some tools that you might see as useful to you as a business owner or leader. So basically, Compass works with small businesses and leaders of those organizations to reduce stress and overcome uncertainty and unlock the full potential of the teams, the individuals, and organization to receive or to achieve exceptional results. What I'm going to show you here is a QR code that could be of importance to you to find out additional information about Compass on our website, and that's listed here. You'll notice that there's several different links for Compass Performance. It's all about building a bridge to your future. But specifically, I'd like to focus on assessments. And if you go to the assessment link here, you'll find more information on PQ, but also other leadership-related, team-related, individual style-related assessments that can be found there. And then there's also a scorecard link, which is pretty cool too, because there's 4 different scorecards out there to provide you with free advice, basically, on 4 different areas. If you're a leader or executive, if you're a business owner, if you're a business owner of a financial planning organization, or if you're thinking about, as a business owner, exiting and leaving and selling your business, there are different scorecards that can give you a little bit of feedback as to some areas of focus that might be important to you as you move forward. Additionally, I have a link to different podcasts that have been posted already. This is where I post all the podcasts out, in addition to YouTube and LinkedIn. And last but not least on this page is a FWF link, which is friendswithfoodwisconsin.org. And it is an incredible charity that I'm a member of their board. We're doing all sorts of things. The founder has done a great job of managing costs and feeding quite a few people in primarily the Waukesha, Wisconsin area, with over 1 million pounds of food every year. And a small donation of $20, because of the cost structure has been really managed well. $20 will feed a family of 4 for a month. So I encourage you to go out there, find a little bit more about Friends with Food. If you're from the area, there's some great fundraising events that are coming up as well. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to guide us to a precursor for a lunch and learn on positive intelligence. Pretty exciting stuff.
Today, we're going to talk at a high level about positive intelligence, and Shirzad Chamine, who's the author of Positive Intelligence, the creator of the Positive Intelligence Framework. But before we go into too much detail there, I'd like to first touch on Matt Guzzi, who was a member and participated in a podcast of mine, the Simplify, Lead and Grow podcast, where he talked about his entrepreneurial journey, as well as the importance of maintaining positivity from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes back to bed at night, and that he starts his every day off with positivity versus negativity. And he recognized a long time ago that how that plays into the effectiveness of his day and his ability to reach his full potential. If you're interested to hear more about Matt, you can certainly go to my website, and I'll show you a QR code at the end of the discussion today, where you can get more detail on that podcast, but also on Matt's discussion. Getting back to positive intelligence, Shirzad, who's a researcher, he's a professor at Stanford University. He's also the owner of the largest coaching business in the world, and creator of Positive Intelligence. What he did was he actually looked at different psychologies, cognitive psychology, and positive psychology, as well as sciences and performance science and neuroscience. All of that formed the foundation for positive intelligence. He used a process called factor analysis, which is pretty typical in research. And through that process, he identified 10 negative factors that are consistent throughout, known as saboteurs, and 5 factors that are called sage powers. Allows us to simplify our personal and professional development planning, and setting up our objectives for the future. So there's really, in this research, there's really 2 different sides to the brain, if I were to simplify it. And we're able to measure activity in the brain and witness real time how the brain is working. And what we recognized through the research is that the left side of the brain is really where the survival side of the brain is kept. And the survival and the saboteurs typically are hanging out in the left side of the brain. The right side is the sage side of the brain. And so the right side is more of a parallel processing, takes in our senses of smelling, hearing, touch, taste, but it can't do much with that unless it connects to the left side, which is really our history, our experiences, our knowledge. And the connection happens between synapses, and there's millions of these neural connections between the left and the right side of the brain. Some of the connections are stronger than others, and that happens through repetition, just like anything in exercise, right? So what we're looking at is, where are the connections happening, and is there a greater percentage of connections happening that are connecting to negative responses versus positive, or saboteurs versus sage? What's also pretty cool about the process is that we can build muscle, and there's a process called neuroplasticity, which is the ability of the brain to recreate and build new pathways, new neural pathways, away from saboteurs and towards sage responses to situations. This is so key, this neuroplastic process. If you think of stroke victims today, it's not necessarily a death sentence if a person has a stroke. There is the ability through a lot of rehab that they can design and build new pathways to success and getting themselves back to normalcy. So PQ, or mental fitness, provides the ability to consciously intercept those muscles that may be in place today that are more focused on the negative or the saboteurs, discredit them, and actually build more of a positive response to situations. The number one saboteur that's out there that we would discuss in more detail is the judge. And we tend to, all humans tend to judge each other. We tend to judge ourselves and situations. Now, for a second, that's great. I mean, that being a judge can tell us to stop. I judge the fact that I have to stop at this sign, and going through could cause me harm. But if I dwell on a situation too long, more than just a couple of seconds, it actually becomes stressful, increases my level of stress, my lack of focus, it increases that. And all of these things kind of get in the way of my ability to get to my full potential. The judge is the most powerful and the number one saboteur that's identified, and it feeds the strength of the other saboteurs. And there's another 9 saboteurs, of which probably a couple of them would be appropriate or current for any given person at any given time. So it's not like you have to focus on all of these. Controller, hyperachiever. If you take off hyper, maybe achiever isn't such a negative saboteur, but being a hyperachiever, sometimes people are so competitive that they lose sight of other things that are important in life, like their family, their friends, and it's win at all cost, and they end up being alone. So There are saboteur-related related behaviors that seem on the surface that they could be positive, but in reality, they actually cause problems and get in the way of a person being able to move forward towards their full potential. There's also the ability, though, to develop a muscle and catch the saboteurs and minimize their power. And the first part is to get assessments and knowledge about what the saboteurs are, like the judge. So we can recognize when we're falling victim to that sort of behavior of guilt or frustration or hyperachieving, or we're avoiding situations. Whatever the saboteurs are that we prefer to use, recognizing them is the first step, and then pausing for a moment and then redirecting ourselves to something that's more positive, a sage perspective, and a process to go through to solve problems that's more positive versus negative related. So the steps for the sage side of the brain and the power is to empathize with the situation at hand, and not to blame, but more to empathize and understand and step into the other person's shoes or the situation, or your shoes, and really understand why you are where you're at versus a blame game, and explore other options with curiosity to understand the full picture of possibly why your business is where it's at, or why your career is where it's at, or your relationships, but not in a blame sort of manner. Ask the 5 whys. Why is it this way? Move into a creative brainstorming process with innovation. Do not judge your ideas as you're coming up with them, and build a path or a plan to the future. It is all about what navigate is, and then execution and staying focused on your plan, holding yourself accountable, maybe having a coach to do that as well. So this is really the high level of what we'll cover in the virtual discussion about PQ. When a person attends that session, which I offer regularly, and you can find out more information about it by going to this QR. When a person attends this session, they also take their saboteurs assessment, so you get an understanding of what their primary saboteurs are. They also can find out how strong their PQ muscle is, and how far away they are from more of a sage response to situations. Because it takes a lot of energy if you're on the negative side. It takes a multitude of 4 times, depending upon where you fall, to have positive experiences in order to get to where you could be if you didn't have the negative responses initially. So what I'll do, what the process, how it works is you attend the virtual session, or you could go directly to the QR and schedule a discovery conversation with me with your saboteurs assessment. You share it with me, then I can help you even more. It's not a requirement to do that, but if you do, it's held in strict confidence between myself and you, and we go deeper into the process of analyzing your saboteurs and a process for developing that sage muscle. Okay. So that's pretty much how it works. And you can go to the QR, find out when the next virtual session is. And I look forward to getting to know you better and seeing you at the virtual session. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Simplify, Lead, and Grow podcast. We hope this episode provided you with valuable insights and actionable strategies to apply in your leadership journey. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and leaving a review to help us reach more listeners. Be sure to share this podcast with fellow leaders ready to simplify their approach, lead with purpose, and grow their business. Until next time, continue to lead with passion and grow with purpose.